You wake up before she does. You rise quietly, careful not to wake her. You drink some water. Look into the mirror. Your eyes, the eyes of someone who lost something but can't name what. You used to start the day with purpose. Now you just begin. No spark, no rush, just motion. There's a strange kind of emptiness in your chest. Not pain, not sadness. Just this still, gray fog, like a city at dawn after a war no one talks about. She's still sleeping, curled up, soft. You used to watch her and feel love. Now you watch her and feel tired. Not of her, of everything. She says it sometimes, quietly but clearly. I'm tired. And you nod. You hold her. You listen. You support. But you never say the same words back. Because who do you say them to? You were taught to be the wall, the weight bearer, the foundation. But what happens when the foundation begins to crack? Who notices? You go to work. You carry the load. You come back. She's quiet. Or she's loud. Or she's somewhere in between. And all of it feels like more weight, more fog.
You don't complain.
You don't accuse. You just become quieter. Because every time you try to speak, you feel the words collapse before they leave your chest. Sometimes the strongest man in the room is the one who speaks the least about his exhaustion. Charlotte Bronte reimagined. You wonder, is this what love becomes? An endurance race where no one remembers why they started running? She says, I'm exhausted. You nod again. You say, I know. But deep down, there's a voice, soft, bitter.
So am I. But you swallow that.
Because your pain feels a less legitimate, less real. Because the world gives her space to break, to feel, to rest. And gives you a script. Hold on. No matter what, no matter how much it hurts. You don't remember the last time someone asked how you were really doing. And if they did, you probably lied. Because telling the truth would make things too heavy, too messy, too human. And you're supposed to be solid. A man of few words. A man of action. A man who doesn't get tired. Right? But here's the truth. You are tired. Bone tired. Spirit tired. Not from the work. Not from the pressure. From the loneliness of always being the strong one. The silence wraps around you like a second skin. And it's heavier than any scream. You thought you had more to give. More energy. More patience. More fight. You believed it truly. Because that's what a good man does, right? He shows up. He endures. He stays. You watched her burn out, slowly, painfully. And you told yourself, I'll hold both of us. Like that made you bigger than yourself. Like love is a weightlifting contest. But here's the thing no one told you. Even gods get tired of being worshipped. Even anchors rust. We are not born strong. We become strong to protect what we fear losing most. Simone de Beauvoir reinterpreted. And you feared losing her. So you became steel. You swallowed your need for rest. For softness. For space. You told yourself her storms mattered more than your drought. And maybe they did for a while. But what happens to steel under pressure with no release? It snaps. Not loudly. Quietly. Like a breath no one hears. You made her the center of everything. Her happiness, her peace, her healing, your mission. And in that sacrifice, you forgot to look in the mirror and ask, what do I need? Worse, you believed needing anything made you weak. That real men don't burn out. That emotional fatigue is hers to have, not yours. You gave and gave and gave. But not from overflow. From depletion. That's the cruel illusion. That you are bottomless. That you can outlast heartbreak with logic. That silence means strength. A woman who gives all she has is seen as devoted. A man who does the same is often invisible. Marguerite Duras paraphrased. You started to disappear in your effort to hold her together. And she never noticed. Or maybe she did, but was too busy drowning in her own fatigue. And still you kept going. Because somewhere deep down you believed, if I stop, we fall apart. But what if it's already falling? What if the illusion is the only thing left holding you there? That she is the only tired one? that you can endure anything. That love means being last on your own list. You called it loyalty, but maybe it was fear. Fear of what would happen if you stopped performing. Fear of the silence after the illusion breaks. Now you start to wonder, was she really the only one fading? Or were you both vanishing in slow motion? It doesn't come with a bang, not with a fight, not even with tears. It comes on an ordinary Tuesday. She says it again. I'm tired. And this time you don't nod. You don't rush to comfort her. You just look at her, not with blame, not with anger, with something quieter, like recognition. Because for the first time, you realize you're not just listening to her words, you're hearing your own unspoken. And it hits you, not like a punch, more like a slow, sinking weight. You're tired too, and you have been for a long time. You just never gave yourself permission to say it. You confused strength with silence, resilience with numbness, loyalty with self-erasure. But now the fog lifts just a little, and you see, she was never asking you to be invincible. She was asking you to be there. But how can you truly be there if you're not even here for yourself? The most dangerous thing is not the woman who cries. It's the man who never does. Clarice Lispector reframed. You remember small moments. That time she said, "You never share how you feel." You thought you were protecting her. Now you see, you were disappearing. And now a strange thought. What if your exhaustion is not a flaw, but a compass? What if being tired is not a weakness, but the body's last honest language? Fatigue is the soul's quiet rebellion against a life unlived. Anais Nin interpreted. You look back and realize, you kept giving, but it wasn't connection. It was performance. It was survival. You thought she needed saving, but maybe she just needed presence. And so did you. You wonder now, how many times did she want to meet you, not your armor? How many times did she feel alone, even while you were right there holding her? And how often did you feel the same? This is not blame. This is not guilt. This is clarity. Sharp, cold, clean. You finally say it to yourself, maybe out loud. I'm tired too. And for the first time, the world doesn't fall apart when you say it. Something else happens instead. You breathe, not like before. This breath is deeper, real, yours. You thought strength was about holding on. Now you're starting to see, maybe it's about letting go. Letting go of the myth, letting go of the image, letting go of being the man who never cracks. You've spent years being the rock, but even mountains erode under constant weather.
So, what if you soften?
Not collapse, not break, just soften. What if your power isn't in enduring everything, but in choosing what matters enough to endure? I am no longer afraid of storms, for I am learning how to sail my ship. Louisa May Alcott. You begin to speak. Not loudly, not perfectly, but honestly. You say, I'm tired too. And her eyes meet yours, not with disbelief, but something softer. Like she's hearing you for the first time, because maybe she was waiting. Not for your solutions, not for your strength, for your truth. You're not here to rescue her. She's not here to fix you. Maybe love isn't about saving each other, but seeing each other clearly, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then. The strength now feels different. It's not about how much you can carry. It's about knowing what to put down. You stop apologizing for your silence. You start asking different questions. Not, how do I keep this going? But what part of me needs to be reborn? Because maybe tiredness is sacred. Maybe it's the fire that burns down the false and leaves only the true. Burnout is not the end. It's the clearing before something new can grow. Virginia Woolf reimagined. You start to walk differently. Not faster, not stronger, but more present. You no longer need to prove you're unbreakable. You've already been broken quietly over time. And you're still here, still breathing, still becoming. And in that, there's a different kind of power. The kind that doesn't roar, but roots. Now that you know, what will you do with it? With this weariness that no longer hides behind duty. With this ache that no longer masks itself as strength. You could go back to silence, to roles, to survival. But something shifted.
You've seen too much of yourself now.
You can't unknow it. You've stood at the edge of your own patience and didn't fall. You woke up. And now, a question louder than exhaustion.
What now?
The most courageous act is still to think for yourself.
Aloud.
Coco Chanel. So you begin. You speak with your whole body. Not just your words, but your breath. Your stillness. You ask, what do I need? And this time, you don't feel guilty for asking. You take space, not as escape, but as reclamation. You stop measuring your worth by her peace and begin tending to your own. You don't demand that she understand right away. You don't blame her for your silence, but you also don't silence yourself anymore. This is the call to stop being a shadow in your own story, to stop performing love and start practicing truth, to say, yes, I'm tired, but also, I'm alive, still capable of choosing, still capable of changing. You cannot find peace by avoiding life. Virginia Woolf. You begin to make different choices. You go for walks. You say no to what drains you. You let her hold you sometimes, even if only in silence. You stop trying to be understood and start trying to be real. And maybe she will meet you there, or maybe she won't. But either way, you're not doing this for her anymore. You're doing it for the man inside you, who was never asked how he felt, who was always told to wait, to hold, to endure. You tell him now, no more. You are allowed to rest,
To feel. To speak.
you are allowed to begin again. It doesn't explode. It unfolds. You say it one evening.
Soft. Clear.
Unapologetic. I've been tired too. For a long time. She looks at you, not surprised, but stunned, somehow. Like hearing the echo of something she once felt but never thought she'd hear aloud. The silence that follows isn't cold. It's sacred. The kind of silence that holds weight, not distance. She says nothing at first, just breathes. Then quietly, why didn't you tell me? And that question, it's not an accusation. It's a wound. A map of all the nights you didn't speak. All the moments she needed your truth and got your armor instead. We are not punished for our silence. We are punished by it. Adrienne Rich reframed. You want to say, I didn't know how. You want to say, I thought it wasn't allowed. You want to say, you were already drowning. But you don't make excuses. You've already hidden behind enough of them. You simply say, I'm learning. And that's enough. Not because it fixes everything, but because it breaks the loop. For the first time, you stop trying to protect each other with half-truths and start offering something braver. The whole story. You both start talking, haltingly and perfectly.
There's pain.
There's misunderstanding. There are years between every sentence. But there is also something else. Presence. Two people in the same room again. Not roles. Not rescuer and rescued. Just human. When we tell the truth, we are no longer separate. Bell hooks. You begin to see her weariness differently. Not as a burden, but as a reflection of your own. And she sees yours, not as failure, but as intimacy. The reckoning isn't clean. It's not cinematic. It's raw.
Slow. Human.
But it's real. And in that reality, there is space.
Space to rest.
To rebuild. To re-meet each other, not as who you were trying to be, but as who you actually are. You still get tired. Of course you do. But now it's not a secret. It's not a shameful whisper you carry alone at night. It's not the shadow behind your smile. It's just part of you, like breath, like hunger, like need. You are no longer pretending you're bottomless. You've stopped trying to win love by vanishing inside it. And she's different now too. Maybe more quiet, maybe more awake. You both are. You don't touch each other like saviors anymore. You touch like witnesses. Like two people who saw the edge. Not just of the relationship, but of themselves. And came back. Not the same. Not untouched. But real. To be fully seen by someone and still be loved. This is a human offering that can border on miraculous. Elizabeth Gilbert. Some days you still fall into old patterns. She goes silent. You get distant. But now there's a pause. A noticing. You both learn something in the fire. Not how to avoid burning, but how to walk through it without becoming ash. You don't call your silence strength anymore. You don't call her exhaustion emotional drama. You both have learned the sacred word. Enough. Enough hiding. Enough carrying each other without ever meeting. Enough pretending being fine is a virtue. So you rest. Not just physically. You rest from performing, from chasing, from proving. And in that rest, something new takes root. Not the old love. That one is gone. But something truer. Something slower. Less impressive. More honest. Maybe it means staying together. Maybe it means parting. But now, if you part, it won't be because you weren't seen. And if you stay, it won't be out of fear. When we begin to honor our tiredness, we begin to heal the world. Audre Lorde evoked. You no longer need to ask, who got tired first? Because now you understand. It was never a competition, only a call to wake up, to stop disappearing,
To speak. To feel. To be.
and you answered. That's enough. That's the beginning.